Hey, it's the Four with Playboy.
And my Playboys Bunny.
And welcome to our podcast where we talk about pickup, game, attraction, relationships, and...
Sex.
That's our favorite subject. Which is exactly what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
We're going to talk about...
Girls have a very definitive timeline of sexual attention. Is that a good way to say it?
It's going to work because we're not going to start this over.
So we've just been talking a lot about this topic of high sex drive men, lower sex drive men, or normal, or I guess kind of roll with the flow sex drive men, and high and low sex drive women, high and low libido women. Because we've been talking a lot about this because we feel like the vast majority of men, not necessarily the men who seek this podcast out, but the vast majority of men would be higher sex drive. However, they kind of accept that girls aren't that into it and they're fine with just watching their sports or going fishing or whatever their passion is. They kind of channel what for us and for others in our neighborhood, channel into sex. Other guys channel into other things because the vast majority, and I'm thinking like 80% of women are pretty darn low sex drive. We look at it as a pretty steep bell curve where there's about 10% on the bottom that just have zero interest in, just are asexual as they come.
That's the way they're wired, or their conditioning,
yeah,
or their upbringing, or all three together.
Rough combo.
And you just have a girl that she might have kids, but sex in between kids isn't happening.
Yeah, it's for procreation.
It's literally just
if
not
at
on
all.
her. Yeah, it's just not on her radar.
In the center of the bell curve, the vast majority, and I'm thinking like 80% of women are just an average, and by average, I think low sex drive. They have it occasionally. They have it begrudgingly. They have it to make babies. They kind of ebb and flow through their interest. But for the most part, they could pretty much take it or leave it. And your desire for it as their husband or their boyfriend is kind of, their eyes roll. They're like, oh, again tonight. Oh, I have a headache. All of that kind of thing. And then on the very top end, I'm going to say like 10% are genuinely high libido. That probably is generous, but are genuinely high libido. And like you said with the low group, that's either conditioned. I mean, I think a high libido can be from several things. Genetic wiring.
You gotta have the genetics there first.
Yeah, you have to have the genetics. And then right situation, right time, right guy.
And certain fitness.
Fitness plays into it a lot. So we see a lot of that. All this being said, sex is a tool that women use from the beginning of the relationship for a very finite amount of time. And you can almost set a calendar by it. Because we have, every time we bring this discussion up on social media, there are all these guys jumping in. My girl's high sex drive, blah, 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 blah. My girl is high libido.
We had a crazy weekend.
And it's like a weekend.
Yeah.
No, you have a normal sex drive girl. You're not still with her. You had sex for a weekend. That's normal. And our point here is that girls use sex as a tool to hook you. So they will be high, and they genuinely do this without necessarily thinking about the fact that it's a part of the plan.
It's very natural.
It's just a natural part of our wiring.
Yeah.
So they, on the front end, are hot and heavy. They are all over you. They're sending enthusiastic. They're sending sexy selfies. They're ready to jump on your dick anytime, any of it. But we see the vast majority of girls at the 9 to 12 week mark, that interest, that sexual enthusiasm
start cooling off.
Really cools off hard. You know, it kind of hits a peak, and then it just starts sliding down the dry, dusty hill.
And it doesn't matter if the guy is high, medium, or low sex drive.
Yeah.
She's kind of on her own rhythm in your average relationship.
Yeah. And this coincides with another topic that we talk about pretty often, about her bringing her best to you. She's on her best behavior on about this same timeline.
12 weeks.
So about the time that her behavior starts to slip, as she's been kind of weighing her options with you, so does her sex drive. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Because the things that she's starting to want to exchange the sex for some commitment.
Exactly.
You know, because that's when you're going to get the talk, is at around 11 or 12 weeks. Because literally a timer starts the day you guys start fucking.
Absolutely.
In the average girl's mind, you've got 12 weeks to either shit or get off the pot. Right. She wants to see some commitment.
Exactly.
Because this is your normal girl. But there's three things. But this can be countered 99% of the time, because most of the guys that listen to this podcast are going to be, whether you realize it or not, you think you're normal, you're probably more high sex drive. Yeah. Then you realize, just because this is something that you think about, and you're not thinking about like sprinkler systems or, you know, how to fix a diesel truck. Yeah. You know, because guys truly obsess over those things that are interested in. And the guys are kind of like more interested in sex and girls, and we'll go find out the information as opposed to going to trade school. Yeah. And become a plumber. Yeah. You know. So what is the number one thing that a guy can do to get her to stay in that higher sex drive?
Well, I would say it's a twofold answer. Number one, if you're running a rotation of girls of any size, 2, 3, 4, then girls tend to bring their best to you each time they see you. So that can extend that period quite a bit, because they essentially know where they stand with you, and they know this is a sexual relationship. When they're tired of having sex with you, they will just break off that rotation.
They'll wander off.
Yeah, they'll wander off. They'll go get some boring boyfriend or something. But I say that's number one. If you're in a relationship, or if you're more a person who's dating for more of a purpose, let's say, then we believe that you can control your frame from the get-go by making sure that it's known through jokes. What are some different ways? But
if early frame announcement. You're a sexual guy, you have lots of sex. Yeah. And whether it's sex with her or someone else, but if she wants to be the option, she has to make herself available.
Yeah. And that comes across in a multitude of ways. You know, both jokes, teasing, you know.
It's running literally game. Core game. Always keeping her aware that you're attractive to other women. And that can be simply by flirting with other girls in front of her. Nothing crazy. You don't have to take somebody's number, give your number out. But I mean, just being a womanizer around women. You know?
Clearly being a sexual being.
Yeah, and just being around, anytime you remind her, whether through joking or through demonstration, that you are attractive to other women, because that keeps that competition anxiety going. Exactly. It turns her on. It makes her like you more, knowing other women like you.
Oh yeah, women want stuff that other women have.
Yeah, game saves a lot of relationships, but it's an early frame announcement that you're a high sex drive guy. You're going to keep having a lot of sex, whether it's with her or the next girl who's 5 years younger than her. You know, it's just the way it is. Yeah. And so they make their decision whether they want to be there or not.
Exactly. So it's really good to make sure that that's known from the front end, because then from the beginning she knows. I'm expected to have a lot of sex. And they do. They bring it. That keeps them, for lack of a better phrase, on their best behavior.
And they literally kind of power through that 12-week period.
Yeah.
And I mean, then they just keep going. Then it's a highly sexual relationship.
Yeah, which is what you want.
Yeah, because it's a better relationship generally.
Yeah. Whether you're talking about marriage or just fucking, every couple, every pairing operates better when they have a strong sexual connection.
Right. Did we kind of combine the 1 and 2 points all in one time?
No, that was one. It was just two different answers depending on
Okay.
whether it was like a rotation kind of scenario or more like a relationship kind of thing.
Which we're talking mostly guys moving towards a relationship.
Yeah.
Because most guys will eventually go in that direction.
Exactly.
80-90% of the time. Is if you come up against a girl or a girl gets into your life somehow and she's very blatant about not liking blowjobs, not liking a lot of variety,
Right.
not really caring about sex that much, either verbally or through her actions, you need to cut her loose immediately.
Yeah.
Because your sex life is too valuable to risk or to gamble with a girl like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because they can go without a lot longer than you can. And
Oh, yeah. And they'll use it. That's what we were going to talk about. They'll use it as punishment.
oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's a tool for good and for bad.
Yeah, girls
Make
will
no
use it to
mistake.
get you, and the girls will use it to get you to act the way they want.
Yeah.
And you'll see it pretty early because if you're talking about a girl that you're dating like 21, 22, she's had some experience, and her mom probably taught her. She probably saw it somehow along the line or picked it up from her parents, that this is how you manage men.
Yeah.
They don't stumble into this.
Yeah.
Or from a girlfriend. But if you find a girl that through genetics, experience, upbringing,
Yeah.
abuse, damage, and sometimes it's not their fault,
Yeah.
but you have to cut her loose because your sex life is too valuable, too important to risk or gamble with a low sex drive girl or a girl that has issues.
And we do get a lot of blowback for this kind of conversation on Twitter because they're like, well, I can turn any girl into a high sex drive girl.
You can't.
Well, you can't. You can, with your leading from the get-go, make sure that the most that she is able to give, she'll give, but you don't have a magic cock. I'm sorry.
No. And no matter how good,
Yeah,
I'm using
quote
quotation
unquote.
marks, because it's not really good for her ever. There's too much head trash there.
Yeah.
And you also have to balance what are you getting in return for your effort of fixing this girl?
Yeah.
You're getting a damaged or a broken toy when you could have a healthy girl and healthy kids and a very vibrant sex life. That the sex kind of keeps the whole relationship together.
It does.
As opposed to this one thing that's kind of like causes problems. She's crying afterwards.
Oh my goodness.
She's got guilt. She's got shame.
Yeah.
She's got issues, and you're like, this is your life now.
And that gets all passed on to kids, all of it.
Yeah. Just avoid.
Yeah.
Avoid. And very rarely, and that's what we're here for. Sometimes guys don't get permission to get rid of women that are a pain in the ass for whatever reason, that are not actually right for them.
That's very true. That's an honest answer.
And you're given permission to find the best girl for you. You don't have to fix her. You don't have to, find somebody that's matched up with you.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the Captain Save-A-Ho thing. I mean, it truly is. It's not your job to fix what someone else has broken. It's admirable, but it doesn't ever add to your quality of life in the long run. And more times out of than not, it ends up blowing back in your face, and you end up losing it all to begin with instead of it being appreciated.
And you can feel very conflicted about it because we're hardwired to save women and children.
Yeah.
And you're just hardwired. It's your first instinct, but it's not always the best long-term strategy for you.
Yeah.
So you have to balance that. So those are the three things. It's just girls are on a bell curve.
Yeah.
Some don't have much sex drive at all. You cannot change that. Most girls have some, and they'll use it as a tool.
Yeah.
And then there's the high sex drive that have for like the universe gambled, and the girl got the genetics, the wiring, the stamina, the open-mindedness, and she seems to be able to have a lot of sex without
And she'll
having
wear
much
you the
damage.
fuck out.
Yeah, and she, it's just the way. I mean, that's it's like being a real high-end athlete.
Yeah.
They've got this whole package that comes together every once in a while.
Yeah.
And then in the second point is that you have about 12 weeks.
Yeah.
From the first time you fuck a girl to kind of like start feeling this out, but definitely start and open with an early frame announcement of you're a highly sexual guy. You're going to have lots of sex, be it with her or her best friend or
Her
any
sister.
any other girls that are attractive enough for you that are in the area. If she decides she doesn't want to be the one.
Yeah.
Because girls that are looking for a relationship will play the game, and girls that know that you're just running girls in a rotation, they will tend to drop off on their own.
Yeah.
It's a very
That's true.
natural process.
If they don't like it, they just won't stick around.
Yeah, and that's okay too.
They won't be available.
And then the third thing is if a girl, through her behavior, her words, her attitude, announces to you that she's just not that interested in
Yeah.
sex.
Oh,
It's
I don't
not
like
that.
blowjobs.
No, I'm not much of a priority for
tonight.
her. Cut her loose.
Yeah.
Let her be somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
Or she might meet a guy that's like low sex drive, or a lot of these girls marry gay guys that need a cover.
That's very
until
true.
his parents pass away.
It's very
It's
true.
very true. I mean, we see it a bit.
Yeah.
You see girls marrying these very gay guys because they both need that cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
She needs a husband. She wants to have kids, and he needs a wife for the first 20 years.
Right. Right.
So that's the real deal.
If you like this,
you should subscribe or sign up for our newsletter that's just below this video. There'll be a box. And just put your email in there. We won't spam you, but there'll be more tips, tricks, game, tactics, stories,
sex.
sex drive, sex stuff. And there'll be game. There'll be a lot of game.
Yeah.
A lot of it's just.
Well, that is really
whole
a strong suit for you.
Yeah. And that's where we started, and everything else derives from that.
I love it.
All right. So we hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.